A very warm welcome to Uiseong, Korea. The world of curling has brought us to this rural town for the Pacific Asia Curling Championships 2016. Signs of winter are showing, but Korea's very first dedicated curling facility is still the coldest spot in the county. The Uiseong Curling Centre is where all the action will take place this week. The men's competition is already underway, but this afternoon we will feature the very first draw in the women's competition. It's quite a riveting first game we have for you as China will face off against Korea. My name is Sander Elvog and I'm joined by my expert on all things curling, Hans Fraunlob.
Hello, Sander, and really looking forward to today's game.
We'll have a look at the teams in the competition in the round robin. For the women, it's Australia, China, Hong Kong, and Japan. And on the bottom half of the standings, that so far read 0 wins and 0 losses with no games being played. We have Kazakhstan, Korea, New Zealand, and Qatar. So only Japan, China, and Korea are the only teams who have medaled in the competition in prior years. We might see a change this year. Who knows? Team lineup for China. At lead, we have Yong Yang. At second, Yinli Liu. At third, Yan Zhou. And skip is Bingyu Wang. Ye Mei is alternate, and Wei Dong Tan is the coach.
And now let's meet Team Korea. Young-mi Kim is at lead, Seong-young Kim is playing at second stone, Kyung-ae Kim is at third, and Eun-jung Kim is the skip. Choi Kim and Min-jung Kim is the coach of Team Korea, who have earned last rock by virtue of the last stone draw prior to the game. So Korea will start the game with last rock advantage in this their hometown.
Well, they might have a slight advantage then with playing on the home court, as you could say.
Yeah, sometimes it's an advantage and sometimes it piles on a little bit of extra pressure as well. So it'll be interesting to see how this Korean team handles playing at home. But really, here we see Chinese skip Bingyu Wang, 2009 world champion after a couple of years away with the birth of her first child, back on the ice, and I think we're all looking forward to this, Sander.
Yeah, it should be a great one. As you can just see, the stone colors confirmed there. It's China playing the red stones. Korea will throw the yellow, and as you mentioned, Korea has the last stone, so it is lead for Team China. Yong Yang to start off this very exciting battle. And with the green lights on the rock, it's a go.
And looking to set a center guard. So it's game on straight away for the Chinese. Korea with last rock going after it straight away.
Yep, Kim Young-mi, lead for Korea. We'll throw the in-turn draw. Do you have any preferred approach to first end, Hans? Is it just put all the stones in play?
Well, you know, this one is going to be a bit different. They are playing a single round robin, and these are two of the higher rated teams. And so both of these teams know that A, that their opponent is really good, and B, that this is an important game. So I expect them both to be a little bit cautious, but they know each other well. They've played each other a lot, so probably see a lot of aggression.
We'll see that first draw from Korea. Just over curl the guard, really. Pop out on the other side. Lots of curl on the ice. Certainly that will make for a lot more shot making and shots available to the teams. As China now will play the little hit draw. Maybe just rolling a bit too far.
So pretty straight up and down here in the first end. Korea with last rock. Playing the in-turn.
A nice little hit and flop there. Not quite sure how much of that Yellowstone is visible. Just enough probably to come after it. Just play the right weight here. There should be enough finish to stick around as well. For second player, Yin Liu. Used to be Bin Yuang's long-time alternate. That was coming to play lots more in the recent years. Navigate, will navigate perfectly around that guard and actually almost nose hit. I guess these shots are available due to two aspects. Tons of curl on the ice and also that center guard just being a little bit too long, perhaps.
No, that's right. There's plenty of curl available for both teams. Head ice technician and Mark Callan and his crew have done their usual fine job. It's well by the guard.
Just going to roll out there. Second player, Kim Son-young. And that will leave a freebie draw for China to come around that center guard. Starting to find some good line here. We'll just enter the top of the button. Perfectly in behind the guard, but as we mentioned, should be enough room here to come around and remove the red, but certainly it doesn't look like that's the call. Maybe just all tap up.
Yeah, it looked like she was looking for about back 8-foot weight just to push the stone a bit further back in the house and leave her stone behind the guard.
Just allowing a little more room for error.
Well, they do have
the softer weight.
They do have last rock, so if they can keep their own stone in play, try to build something up. Might be over curling. It's a pretty nice shot.
Well, I think that actually went all the way through. Pretty, well, pretty keen houses. Clearly, a lot of very lively stones.
Lots of carry in the ice, bit of sieg.
Sieg, of course, the Norwegian word I just taught you yesterday.
It's a wonderful cultural experience, international curling.
Yan Zhou, third for Team China. Played lead for Bin Yuang. They scored that gold medal at the 09 Worlds. This time she will just over curl and check off the guard, leaving Korea lying shot stone.
So a good chance here early for the host nation. They do have last rock. You see the hammer symbol beside the Korean score line. If you're new to curling, hammer is the expression we use for the team that has last rock, and when you've got last rock, you've usually got a chance to score.
That's Kim Kyung-hae to throw the intern draw to the wing. And this one will pull up way short. Just barely sneaking over the hog line.
That's definitely plan B. I think they were looking for that one to be in the house, but it's come short for a corner guard. They'll be able to use that.
I think they might have hit a fresh path there, Hans.
Could be. Quite often in pre-game practice, teams are trying to get to the last stone draw path to the button, and they're often, when they're going inside out in the first end, that's a fresh path. Hasn't been played, so that's very probable, Sander.
Well, allows China to play a hit on that yellow shot stone. We'll just nose it, sit in the open. With a few guards up front, there is a chance for Korea to make a roll here and still maybe grab a deuce early on.
Yeah, there are those 2 guards short of the house, so definitely something for Team Korea to work with. Looking for the roll, but it's right on the nose. It's wide open for Team China. Bin Yuang doing a bit of housekeeping. Actually, Yang Zhou. For her skip.
First the skip rocks, Bin Yuang. As mentioned, 09 world champion. Also picked up a bronze medal at the Vancouver Olympics in 2010. She'll make a pretty good roll here, I think.
That's a great shot. Welcome back, Betty Wang. Great shot. Great control there from the Chinese team. Hitting the roll. And it's hidden behind cover, so Korea is going to have to come up with another way to get in there. And there you see how good that roll was from our end shot. Redstone completely buried behind the corner guard. Might be able to get to it with maybe hack weight.
There is a skip. Kim Won-young.
This team's still trying to use the directional sweeping techniques that became popular in curling last year, and that's a nice shot. Spins back to bite the back of the button. Korea lies 1. Just checking with each other what kind of weight that they threw. So some pretty nice shooting right out of the gate here from both teams.
What's the plan for Team China here?
Well, Bin Yuang would love to get a force, so there's a little hit and flop to the left and maybe hide a bit behind that guard that's a bit closer to the center line this time. This one's hanging out a little bit. Right on the nose. So she doesn't get the roll that she was looking for. And chance here for Korea to blank the end. Hang on to last rock.
Yeah, no point in scoring the single. Rather, as you say, blank the end, retain the last one advantage. Try again for 2 in the second. You'll see even some teams might just keep it fairly open. Don't mind blanking a few ends, thinking shorter the game, the bigger advantage for them with the last rock. But I think you'll see 2 pretty aggressive teams.
Well, teams generally like to have last rock on the even end, so when they're playing the 10th end and final end, they've got the hammer coming home. So a blank here for Korea is not bad. Just gets contact, and it is a blank.
Yeah, no score after one end of play. but did certainly see a few stones up, so looking forward to the second. We'll be back shortly. So back in action here in the second end. If you're just joining us, this is the Pacific Asia Curling Championships. We're in end 2 between China and Korea, having that first end being blanked.
Bit of a gear change from Team China, electing to come into the house this time instead of throwing the guard.
Maybe just expecting a corner guard from the Koreans.
Yep, I think that's a good prediction. See if Kim Young-mi can pancake one in there.
You say pancake. What's the story there about behind the nicknames of the Koreans?
Well, I watched a very interesting video that they did for the World Curling Tour a few weeks back. And the Korean team, in an effort to improve their language, because they spend a lot of time competing in North America and Canada in particular, have given themselves funny English names to try and practice their language. And so Kim Young-mi is known as Pancake because she likes to eat pancakes.
Well, who doesn't?
Well, it's, maybe the whole world could be named Pancake. That would be confusing if everybody was named Pancake. But Kim Sun-young is known as Sunny.
And
here we have a possible hogline violation. The stone has been stopped.
yeah, it's not only the sun shining today.
Well, now there's going to be a bit of discussion amongst the players. The stone has to be released before that red hog line. There's an automatic detector in the stone, and if the stone isn't released, a red light flashes, and that's what happens here. So let's watch. Here we see on the replay the handle of the stone. Does she release the stone? She appears to, and this is what the players will be talking about, but the stone indicator says that she didn't release. Let's listen.
Yeah, the lights, red lights.
And you think it was hog line or?
Yeah, she didn't sing that.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
Mark, could you come out and check a handle for us, please?
So the umpire will be calling on ice technician Mark Callan
Okay, yeah.
to come and have a look to see if there's a faulty handle. Does happen from time to time.
It does, and so what will happen will be the ice technician will check the automatic detector in the stone. If it's determined that the stone is faulty, then China will have an opportunity to replay that. If it's determined that the indicator is fine and that she did in fact not release the stone in time, then the stone would just come out of play.
So Mark Callan will just test it.
Okay.
There's a bit of a magnet strip in the ice that will detect it. Mark Callan says it is working, so the stone will be taken away.
Well, well. And there you see that flashing red light.
Certainly worse. Worse times to hog a rock, I think.
Well, that's true. It's not going to massively disrupt the Chinese game plan happening early in the end like that, but you're right. It can also really play on the minds of the players, though, especially if the player thought that she released the stone well in front of the hog line and didn't, so it would be important for the Chinese team to put that behind them quickly.
Korea getting a pretty risk-free chance to come around the corner guard here, but this will just pull up a bit short. Did you ever hog a stone, Hans?
Well, I never really slid hard enough or fast enough for that to be a
To
real
even get to the hog
problem.
line.
I remember playing in one World Championships in the early 2000s against Finland, however, and this was before they had the automatic hog line detectors, and Markus, Pavelniemi, and Vila Makala were some of the fastest sliders and throwers you could ever see, and how an official could ever determine that they let the stone go by the naked eye was almost impossible. They were like a blur. But me, no, I might have had one rock pulled in my life. It's sort of like a life goal to slide that far.
Okay. Well, is he trying to make a nice hit and roll to the top of the 12? And with the green lights here, could be able to try and make the same hit and roll, just back towards the corner guard.
Korea with the hammer. They did blank the first, so they're looking to score 2 in this end if they can. There's a hit and a little roll, not quite far enough. It's a nice down weight to try and control the roll, but maybe a bit too down for the shot. So after the initial hogged rock, or the stone that was removed for the hog line violation, chance here for the Chinese to put a little pressure on and try and get a force. China lies 2.
Yeah, just looking for the nose hit this time. I think feeling like Korea can make a hit and roll off it.
It's an interesting
Roll
spot
into the
because
rings.
now if China noses that stone on the top of the rings, they will probably not be on the rings themselves. But if she can just come just across nose, she could probably make the double and maybe roll onto the rings herself.
So Kim Son-young. Just a soft roll, doesn't
Yeah, really
get to the
wasn't
rings.
really going to throw enough weight there to make the double takeout, that's for sure. So I think she was just playing to try and roll behind the guard for second shot, but not quite there, still available.
So a bit of a cat and mouse here between the teams.
Korea not really capitalizing on the early opportunities yet.
Oh, very nice little hit and roll there. Just gonna nibble the top of the 12 foot.
That's a nice spot. Gives China control of the middle of the house and offers a tiny bit of protection to the shot rock and the 4 foot. Again, if you're new to curling, the stones have to be touching at least a part of those circles to be eligible to score. That red circle, 4 feet in diameter. White one's 8 feet. And the blue one is the 12-foot circle. A little minor speed wobble there on the delivery. Just past the top one. But will she get enough contact to stick around? Just graces the shot rock and rolls to the back of the 12-foot. So maybe a bit of the hometown pressure here on Team Korea. Trying to make something happen here with the hammer on end number 2. But there we see that Korean stone has slid to the back of the 12-foot. So China lies 1. Korea's second shot. China lying 3 at the top of the house.
Chance for China to lie 3 with a nose hit.
Yeah,
Is it
great.
fair to say we'll get a score in the second in here, Hans?
Yeah, it's a great chance for the force and maybe to go for a steal. These are the kind of ends where if you can, you know, you get a cheap steal, and sometimes you get a cheap steal of 2 or 3 that way.
那边下好快啊！
哦，主要后取，你知道吧？然后我不敢给你点放太大，点放太大优的话，前段
Does make contact with the Korean stone, but does roll out, so... Oh, is it maybe just hanging on the back?
Might just be biting the back of the 12-foot. So an important shot here for Korea.
Yep. Kim Kyung-ae getting another chance. Her nickname? Steak. Because she likes a good steak. And I have to say they've picked a few good food items.
Yeah, if you ever had a chance to have, you know, breakfast or dinner with Team Korea, I think it would be pretty good, a pretty good night out. And that's a good stone.
Yeah, makes it roll in behind, back of the 4-foot. So, we'll pressure China to make the draw. Bin Yuang calling the intern draw.
And there you get a great look at how good that roll was. Completely behind the guard.
14.5，加油！
The teams here at the Pacific Asia Curling Championships 2016, of course, are competing for places at the World Championship and qualification points towards the 2018 Winter Olympics, which will be held right here in Korea, in Pyeongchang. 2 places available for the Pacific Asia zone at the Women's World Championships, but because they'll be held in Beijing, this team from China will be at the World Championships as the host nation, leaving 1 other place available for the teams here in the competition. Now, will this one get there? Sweepers are really working it. It's all over the guard. So, opportunity knocks for Team Korea.
力量还可以，点稍微有点小是吗？
对，
力量也有点
力量
小。
稍微有点小。
Bin Yuang just checking with her sweepers about what kind of split time they got on the sweep. She seemed a little bit puzzled.
네, 반만 잡을게요.
너무 이제 없었는데 7이 나왔는데.
So there we see it. That shot rock now, there's a little overlap on those center guards, so makes the run back a little bit more difficult for China.
4초? 잘 안 나가 아까보다?
비슷해. 아까 네 LS
Just going to try and bomb another one around there on the intern.
센거 같아.
Kim Eun-young, aka Annie.
Big yogurt fan.
Annie's yogurt.
Annie's yogurt.
많이 세.
아니야 아니야
So
기다려.
we've got
기다려.
Annie, steak, Sunny, and pancake.
와야 돼 와야 돼.
And that is a beauty.
잘했어요.
Comes to rest just in front of the tee line, probably half buried behind those center guards.
그럼 조금 덜 잡아도 될 것 같은데 4초랑 98이면 리리즈 좀 줘도. 아니면 근데 돌아서
Might be enough of it available for Bin Yuang to
해서 따라갈 거면 한 공.
think about playing a slash double takeout, but that would be really risky. She clips the front one and it's a free draw for 3, so looks like she's going to elect to follow it down.
좀 좁힌 주고 아까보다
Either freeze on top of it, or I don't know if she thinks she can get across the face of it. That would be quite a shot.
想信仰是吗？
Well, if she plays a little freeze, a little tap, she'll will be second shot, and the question is, how easy is the out turn draw for 2? for Korea? Is the corner guard in the way?
It's kind of in the way there. You see there is a path, but it's a pretty tight one. And these rocks, they do finish hard. There's a lot of curl in the last 10 or 15 feet of the path, so China here knows that they're just trying to make it much more difficult for Korea to score. Bit of damage control.
It's got enough line here. Bin Yuang.
There we see that hard finish comes to rest.
It's probably good enough to avoid a score 3, I think.
Well, it's a real teaser now for the Koreans. I think they think that they can get across the face of that and maybe just nudge it back and still get their 3, but the risk in that is jamming and giving up a steal of 1. It's one of these classic risk versus reward situations. You don't often get a chance to score a 3 against the like of Bin Yuang, so when you have the chance, maybe have a go.
Well, we did see the stones be quite lively, so even just with a back 4 weight here, it gets the inside the red, you'll see the red stone actually make quite a move.
Yeah, the line on this shot will be the critical factor. She only has to push it about 3 feet to score 3 points, but she must make contact. She must get across the nose of the red rock to try and get that 3.
Would the tolerance be to clip the guard rather than hit the stone high?
I think so. Although if you're playing this shot, you're playing it to make your 3, so you're really... But the line, you do have to make it a line shot.
Last stone of the second end. For Team Korea, no score so far. This will determine how many points they will get. Currently lying 1 here. Sweeping it hard to get past the guard. Will do so and will move the red. How far? Just far enough for...
I would say it's 2.
I'd say 2 as well. Very close to score 3.
Wow, what a great try. Just another couple of feet of weight, and that's 3. 1 for sure, maybe 2, and it looks like they're agreeing on 2. Great shot.
Great shot indeed, and with that we'll see Korea pick up the 2 points, and after 2 ends of play they will be leading the game 2-0. And maybe even China with a slight sigh of relief that they didn't give up the 3. We'll be back with the third end in just a few moments. So the third end is underway here between Korea and China. Just saw the Koreans score 2 points in the second end to make it a 2-0 game. So it is Kim Young-mi to throw this draw into the forfeit. Just slipping back of the tee.
Yeah, Bin Yuang won't mind that. I think we'll see the Chinese going straight to the corner guards and going for it here with the hammer.
Youngest player on this team. He's played Youth Olympics on 2 occasions for China. A player for the future.
Yeah, this Chinese program, their players have had tons and tons and tons of international experience, but this is a new look lineup for Bin Yuang from her 2009 World Champion team.
Yeah, basically.
This team's won a World Curling Tour event earlier this year in Saskatoon, so I think Minya feels very good about the new lineup.
Yeah, they started off with an event where they lost 4 out of 5 games, and as you said, followed up with a win in Saskatoon. Actually lost the first game in that, so it's a little bit up and down throughout the season, but the quality is definitely there. So it's just about bringing out their best stuff. And there's less pressure on the Chinese team knowing that they're already qualifying for the Worlds, or
definitely. It lets you think entirely differently about the year, and so they'll be treating this event as part of their preparation for World Championships, and in turn as preparation to try and accumulate Olympic qualifying points. Saying that, Minya has been away from the ice for a couple of years, and I'm sure that she will want to win this competition strongly and convincingly, or at least be in a spot where nobody could say that China shouldn't be at Worlds because they didn't qualify through the Pacific Asia event. So she'll be looking to be on the podium.
well, we certainly have a few stones in play here in the third end.
Yeah, buckle up. It's going to be fun. Kim Sun-young. The players communicating the weight. That's a big job for the sweepers. Let the skip know where that stone is going to come to rest. So a very interesting third end brewing here. 10 ends of play in these games. Each team has 38 minutes of thinking time. Liu. Oh, nice stone. China's in business. You see on the replay the precision just across the face of that yellow one and rolling onto the corner of her own stone in the top of the forefoot, hidden behind guard. So great shot there from Team China. Trying to run the stone back or clear it. Does a bit of neither. Blows it by the Chinese stones and yet leaves a corner guard. So this is looking really good now for the Chinese. Dropped a 2 in the second end on a great final stone from Kim Uiseong. But now the Chinese have a chance to get that deuce back and maybe more. A little roll to the side and behind that guard that was left up by their Koreans. So China lying 3. And Kim is looking at the angles saying, is there a triple takeout here? Wonder if we're gonna see Kim Kyung-ae maybe bringing the heat. Just a normal weight takeout. Contact rolls across, but pops out to the edge of the 12-foot, so China still lies 2. I was kind of expecting the heater on that one, Sander. Just a down weight hit.
Yeah, I could have just blasted on that one away, but Looked like Uiseong Kim wanted the shooter to stick around, played a little safe.
Yeah. Definitely wanted to save the shooter, which she did, but it's third shot.
See, trying to play the draw here rather than the hit. Any reason for that?
Well, I think you've got that corner guard up and you're lying 2 already, so chance here just to use that guard again for yourself. Well by it though.
Maybe just easier placing the draw.
Yeah, draw is a higher percentage shot. A little deeper and a little wider than they would have liked, but China line 3. And again, Kim is looking at the angles, saying, how many of these can I get? Looks like she's just thinking hit and roll.
That draw almost ended up like a side freeze for Team China. It's kind of hard to play the double.
Exactly. An inside freeze. You don't see that very often. Looking for the roll. Hits it thin. And there we see that inside freeze coming to effect, but she pops out another Chinese stone, so that's a great result for Korea. Double takeout.
Also kind of frees up that red stone a little bit.
Yeah, that was a good result. Watch here on the replay. Great angle. Look at this from the ice level. Pops out that back stone. Pops the red stone sideways and sits for shot. So instead of lying 3, China's now only second shot.
Sweepers on this one early.
Just by the guard. Hits her own, pops across the top, rolls sideways. Comes to rest, full 4 foot. Well, that was a bit of an interesting pinball game. China with the hammer. And now we see from our overhead, China lies 1. Those 2 yellow stones belong to Korea, second and third shot.
Well, that was a pretty quick turnaround there, Hans.
Yeah, 1 shot. Stone placement on the China liked to play that come around, and they sat it in there, but it did set up an angle and executed really, really well by Kim Kyung-ae. It's quite often the third position that really can turn an end around.
Well, this Korean team hasn't won any events this season, but they just came off a really good try at the Grand Slam Masters, as we see a bit of a hiccup from the skipper. They should be in their best form. They cruised through the first stage of the Slam, the Masters, just recently winning all 4 pool games, beating Muirhead, Kelsey Rock, Rachel Holman, Alina Petz. Just ended up losing out to Flaxey in the quarterfinals, but they should be on top of their game.
Oh, this is a quality game, and yeah, just seeing an open flash like that, very uncharacteristic. So this end's been back and forth, and now it's swinging back again. We thought the Koreans were out of jail, but might have to go and get the padlock and lock the door again. Bin Wang with the hammer. And all of a sudden an opportunity here to generate that deuce again. First skip stone for Team China. They do have the hammer on end number 3. Wants to line it up pretty much parallel to her own shot to avoid the double takeout. Pretty good. So decision time here for the Koreans. And after flashing an open hit, I suspect that at this point they're just going to say, okay, we'll get rid of that stone. Maybe roll on top of something or near something if we're lucky, but mentally you're happy to concede two at this point.
약한데도 아예
Well, you're never happy to concede two, but that's what they'll wind up having to tolerate. So, a bit of extra weight after flashing that first one. Bangs it right on the nose. Wide open for Bin Yuang.
웨이트는 얼마야 이거는?
89.
She looks still perplexed from that first one, Sander.
리즈는?
Yeah, well, that was sounded like she
상계 8분대 웨이트.
sliding maybe just a bit tight because her vice skip there was calling on the sweepers even before she let go, and then she sort of popped it maybe just a little bigger than
Maybe
on her
just-
first one.
Just a little start and maybe a little bit of down weight. And tight and light's usually a bad combination, and maybe that's what happened on the first one.
Well, some players have a tendency to slide a little tight in the broom and then just kind of pop it onto the broom and feel quite comfortable by doing it. But if you then forget to do that, your line is obviously all inside. So maybe that was the problem on the first one. As we see the last stone of the third end for Bing Yuang and Team China, they will play that nose hit with ease for a score of 2. So that means after 3 ends of play, we have a tied ball game here at 2 each. But tons more curling yet to go.
然后完了争取倒一倒先后手。好的，来，1、2，
加。 Oh, sorry.
And the fourth end is underway
点线 OK，
on sheet Bravo
支持力量。
in the Uiseong curling center.
It was a nice third end from the Chinese. It went back and forth. We thought the Chinese were going to score 3, and then the Koreans made a great comeback shot and thought the Koreans were out of jail and flashed a hit, and then Bin Yuang converts for the deuce, and
好球。
we're all tied up. It's kind of what we expected. These are two of the higher rated teams in this field, as Sander was telling you. Both of them have had success this year on the international competitive circuit, so we would expect nothing more than a tight, well-played game.
China drawing to the forfeit again, expecting Korea to put up the corner, and they will. Good start by the leads here. Top 4, perfect corner guard. And then I'm pretty sure we'll see China throw the center.
Yes, this Korean team, one of several strong international Korean women's teams. Of course, we mentioned earlier that the 2018 Winter Olympics will be here in Korea, in Pyeongchang. And we were speaking with the Korean coach briefly before the game and asking how Korea is going to select their Olympic representative, and this team will be one of several candidates to be the Korean Olympic team.
Yeah, I believe they had 8 teams in the national qualifier, and some of those teams being high school teams.
Yeah, the Korean teams internationally have been improving year on year on year, at the junior age level, at the open level. So Korea is doing an excellent job preparing to host the World in Pyeongchang. Speaking with some of the World Curling Federation officials, they've just done a site inspection of the venue. They say here, you know, about 470 days out from the start of the games, the venue is basically ready to go. So excellent technical preparation by the Koreans for the Winter Olympics. As you'd expect, they excel in engineering, and they're bringing that to the Olympics.
And we will have the World Juniors in the Olympic arena in March. As always, testing out the Olympic arena with the juniors the year before.
This Chinese team, of course, Sandra did mention, are Olympic medalists. Hit and roll, but doesn't stay in the rings, just rolls away. So a chance for Korea to use that corner guard. They've got the hammer here in the fourth. We're all tied up at 2. First round robin draw in this women's competition. 8 nations competing. 4 teams will advance to the semifinals phase, so this is an important game for both of them, even though it's the very first draw. Sweeping it high side to try and get it to curl a little bit extra to hide behind that corner. But I'd say it's sitting at least half open. Bin Wang indicating she's looking for about board weight. Enough to hit that yellow stone, push it through the rings. Maybe get a roll behind the guard herself. Well, there was a whoa and a yup, which usually means you're close. By the guard. Inside roll. China lies too, but quite available for Team Korea. We saw briefly in the background of that shot Team Qatar, who are competing in their very first international women's curling competition, and we're very glad to see them here. See the brush position between those 2 stones. It's a ready-made double takeout, but you do have to be really precise about your contact point. And this one's really moving. Pretty quiet weight too. Might just be trying to play a hit and roll. There's the hit. Rolls to the wings, but rolls past the corner guard. And sits in the 12-foot for second shot. So yeah, aggressive play by the Koreans. Ignoring the double takeout, and they were just trying a hit and roll. Trying to hide behind that corner.
Well, I'd say it's probably better rolling too far there and then leave it in the forfeit area. Because doing this, you're kind of forced trying to play it out in the wing, and if they ever nose hit, there's 1 stone less to worry about in the 8th area. So like to play another hit and roll off the stone in the forfeit. As you'll see, China now will make the nose hit.
Illustrate your point. Let's see what they do.
And they can even just draw around, which is actually the call here. But changing their mind here, going for the hit and roll.
Well, hit and roll's a bit lower risk, but it also a little less control about getting behind that guard. So.
Well, they seem to struggle a wee bit with burying the draws around on that turn, so maybe just a bit less curl.
Yeah, there has been lots and lots of curl in the early draws of this event, but perhaps not quite as much here in the afternoon here in Uiseong, Korea.
There's also the chance that it might straighten out after a few ends of play when they start to sweep the... If there is a wee bit of frost on the ice or anything like that, the ice will always change over the course of a game.
There's the hit and the inside roll, but it rolls past the corner guard and pops out the other side. There we see from the end shot. That yellow stone is available for China.
Good thing for Korea, though, is that they've really opened up the forfeit area here, so there's always a chance for them to score.
Well, they can certainly use that corner guard now. So an interesting decision here for the Koreans. Do you just ignore those Chinese stones and go around the corner guard yourself, or do you make a play on the shot rock? Looks like they're making a play on the shot rock.
It's a little bit cautious.
Yeah, sensible call. There's no rush here. The game is tied. You've got the hammer, so you don't need to go crazy to force things. Now pops across the face of the back one, rolls out of the ring. So will Bin Yu Wang now use the corner guard in an attempt to force? Definitely didn't want that one to roll out of the rings. And we see the red Chinese shot on the right of our screen on the 12-foot circle. Good chance here for China now to just draw another one behind that yellow guard and try to force Korea to take a single point with the hammer, which is kind of like a victory. To get behind the guard. Sweepers are all working it. Half around maybe. In the top of the 12-foot. China lies 2.
Well, might be a chance for Korea to play the same hit and roll.
Interesting angles now. You can hit and roll off the right-hand stone as we're looking at it, in behind the guards. That's what they seem to be looking at. Probably favoring this shot because it's right down the same path that Kyung-A Kim just tried to throw down. She was a little bit wide with hers, so they may be making a small adjustment.
It didn't seem to curl very much in this spot, so...
No, it really did track. You gotta be careful with it sometimes, you know, because you can get fooled. You say, oh, it's straight, so we'll just tighten it up, and because you're going for the roll, you'll subconsciously down the weight to try and control the rock, and all of a sudden it's shooting right across the path of the stone. This one is also tracking. Looking for the inside roll, but is it on the nose? It's on the outside, and that's really fooling him. They were sweeping it early, but again, that stone must be a real straight spot there on the edge of the sheet. Looking for the inside roll, but just wasn't there.
Well, sometimes you just have to believe what you've already seen.
Definitely. It's like an instant replay of Kim Kyung-A's shot.
It's quite important for the players to know each other well and trust each other too. You know, if we were playing hands and I throw my rock,
yes.
And if I come up to you and I say I threw that one clean,
I threw it great, and then I have to believe that you threw it great.
Yeah.
Yes.
I know it seems unlikely, but
I've never seen you float an out turn, Sander. I think.
Oh, I've many. But if you miss the broom by 3 feet, you kind of have to.
No, seriously, honesty among the players is very important. It's a very good point.
Yeah.
So if in that situation, the Korean third would have said, yeah, I did float that one a little bit, then you'd factor that in.
Yeah, because it's very often you throw a spot, you like to throw once, and then you realize yourself, okay, I guess it's straight, and you adjust on the second, but you're already able to trust your previous player.
That's right.
You can trust that with your very first throw and not have to try it out for yourself. So
exactly right.
See, many of the very best teams in the world are very good at exactly that, sharing information and relying on it.
Yes, nothing wrong with honesty. You know, we're all allowed to make mistakes as human beings, and The important thing in a team sport is to acknowledge what's exactly happened.
As we see Bin Yuang make a good draw here to close down the scoring area a little bit for Korea. And Kim On-young will actually need the full forfeit here to score a single point. Facing two.
Yeah. Big pressure shot here relatively early in this game. Korea needs full forefoot to score.
Sweeper's looking reasonably happy here. Just kind of cleaning it. Should be pretty close. So very much in control all the way down here. We'll just cover the Pacific's Asia Curling Championships logo on the 1 foot there. And it will be 1 point for Team Korea. It will lead the game 3-2 after 4 ends of play.
많이 돌지도 않고 이쪽은 많이 뻗지도 않고 그냥 적당히 이게 되니까 이게 갈 때랑 올 때랑 좀 보고 잘 그걸 봐야 될 것 같아요. 저기 사이드는 아예
이쪽으로 공격하는 게 아까
이쪽으로 가는 게 나을 것 같아. 이쪽은 커버를 하는 거 안 돼.
끝에가 더 안 들어가요. 아예.
근데 또 천이니까 첫 번째
We're back for the 5th end of this future game between Korea and China. Two of the biggest favorites in the field this year. Two of the three nations that has medaled at the Pacific Asia Curling Championships in the past. The third one being Japan. And it is exactly Japan that has picked up the most gold medals. Actually 14 gold medals. At this championship, having basically dominated the field in the 1990s and early 2000s, but until Fujisawa picked up the gold for Japan last year, they hadn't actually won the tournament since 2005. Mainly China dominating the last 10-15 years. Korea also picking up a few golds.
Yes, China's arrival and rise as a curling powerhouse happened really, really quickly. I remember in my days competing for New Zealand, the first time a Chinese curling team ever appeared anywhere internationally was at the Pacific Asia Curling Championships that were held in New Zealand in 2002. Up until that point, nobody anywhere in the curling world had any idea that the Chinese were doing any kind of curling at all. And I'll never forget, it was like an epiphany moment. I introduced myself to one of the Chinese players and greeted him in my awful Mandarin, which is non-existent, and his halting English. I said, "Where are you from?" I said, "Oh, we're from a small city in China, Harbin." And he said, eight. And I was like, "Oh, okay, a city of 800,000 people and 8 million people." And I immediately thought to myself, 8 million Chinese curlers, we're in trouble. Because these guys could play immediately. We could see they could slide technically really well. They were weak in the tactical aspect of the game, but from their first arrival on the curling scene in 2002, in 7 years, Bin Yuang is the world champion. So it can happen really quickly. So the Japanese women's teams, as you said, Sander, really, really strong historically at this competition, and they still are. But now the Chinese, the Koreans, and the other nations are improving. There's a young team here from Kazakhstan this year that have played at World Junior level. They may not be at the standard yet of the Bin Yuangs and the Satsuki Fujisawas, but give it a couple of years. Just by the guard. Moves one, moves two, but not quite out of the rings. Pretty good shot, though. China with the hammer here on end number 5. 10 ends in this game. The teams are tied after 10. Just like baseball, there's no ties in baseball, there's no ties in curling. We'll play an extra end.
Well, Korea kind of looking for the roll there, I guess. But I'd say when you don't have the hammer, you really ought to think about killing your opponent's stones. You don't want too many red stones to lie around.
Yeah.
You never know when they might come into play. But that's a big mistake, as they'll just drop on the guard.
It's a couple times on that outturn side that they've been fooled a bit by the curl near the center line, crashing the guards a couple of times in this game. So a good chance here for the Koreans to apply a little bit of pressure. Bit of discussion among the players about the options. And after thinking about guards, like, no, we'll just get rid of the bottom of the back and lie 3.
Yeah, I like that. It's definitely a safer call.
Yeah, you can put a different kind of pressure on your opponent just by accumulating stones. Don't want it to roll out of the rings, though. But it does.
It definitely seemed like they wanted to.
Yeah, didn't seem to be interested in having it stick around at all. Perhaps thinking it's just something that they could jam on, or the Chinese could freeze too, so happy enough just to get that, but yeah, I'm not sure I understand that. It's a bit of a nothing shot, really.
So Jin Leo will try and correct her mistake. Little hit and roll here, but we'll roll too far. So they're just trying to roll on top of the other yellow there.
Yeah, just a bit too thin on the contact point. So once again out to the side of the sheet. Kim Kyung-A. Kind of an instant replay of the shot that she threw in the last end going down the other direction. But a similar kind of result. They're waiting for it to curl, but no. A little bit full and rolls off the wings again. So Koreans are puzzled here on these stones out there on the edge of the 12-foot. Yeah, I thought the Koreans would have had a chance then when they were lying to throw a guard and just put a little bit of pressure on, go for a force. So playing it very cautiously, which is unusual. We saw this team at the Pacific Asia Championships in Karizawa in 2014, and they were just going for everything. So a little caution creeping into their game now, it seems. Happier expression after that stone, after the first crash on the guard. So Rock's being eliminated from play, but Korea's going to try hit and roll. Try to remove the Chinese stone and roll behind the guard. There's the hit, but no roll. Right on the beak. So this Korean team, just looking at the body language, they're just not quite firing just yet. They're just looking for something to ignite them and get some momentum, and they just seem to be fighting the ice a little bit. Oh, look at this one. Over curling. Will it stay? Kim sweeping the stone to try and get out of the rings. Is it going to spin back? Hard to tell. It did spin back a little bit towards the rings, but I'm not sure whether it's enough to count. Players are taking a look at it. Well, they're going to make a play on it, so that tells me it's got a piece of the rings. You always get that little spin back, Sander, when you're sweeping those stones that are just creeping away from the rings. That final bit of bite and rotation almost always brings the stone back towards the rings, even if it's cleared them.
They always tend to spin back when you're trying to sweep it out, but they never spin in when you're trying to sweep it in.
No, I know. It's terrible, isn't it? You know, just looking for a little extra spin if you've been sweeping it all the way down the ice. You'd think that'd be charitable, but no, the curling gods don't work that way, unfortunately. So once again, out to the side of the 12-foot, and again, the stone's tracking straight. Right on the beak. And Korea lies one. See the scoreboard in the background. Korea is leading it 3-2. Here in the fifth end, China with last rock. One guard sitting just short of the house, belonging to Korea. Jumping it right away, trying to hold the line. They want to save this shooter. They don't want to roll out. But roll out she does.
Yeah, so I think Korea might take a look at that Yellowstone just in front of the house here.
Well, you've got some options. You can bump it, you can split it, you can go around it. Looks like she's just playing the come around. You'd think about the split because that would give you a chance to get your force. But you make the great come around, you might get yourself an easy steal. So looks like the come around is the choice.
Yeah, even if you're just a little deep here, as long as you have it buried, I'm pretty sure you'll force Bin Yuang to make the draw.
And it's definitely a line shot.
This is the way it didn't really curl as much on the draws than the previous end.
Yeah, just slightly positive with the weight, and that's keeping the stone tracking really straight. And this one's going quite deep. Will it even stay in the rings?
I don't think so.
Wow. Talk about the teams fighting the ice and just haven't quite locked in the feel, I think.
Well, she drew the pin on the previous end for the
She did.
single.
Absolutely right. And sometimes you need that focus and concentration of knowing that you have to drill the forefoot to get your point, to really focus it in. Sometimes when you've got the whole house to draw to, just alters your mind a little bit.
So this will be a throw through for Bin Yuang and Team China, not wanting to only score the one, rather keep the last one advantage into halftime. So with that, we'll have a blank end, and it's still Korea leading the game, 3-2, as both teams will head off the ice for about 5 minutes and get a chance to talk to their coach and alternate and other staff they might have brought along. Maybe even time for a snack or two, some fruit and nuts. And we'll have for you some highlights shortly. And of course, the remainder of this very exciting game between China and Korea. going to take a look at some of the highlights from the first 5 ends between Korea and China. There was a few stones in play in the first end, but it did result in a blank. In the second, however, it is skip of Korea, Kim Eun-young, with a really great attempt to navigate past the guards and tap the red stone out of the forefoot. It would not be good enough for 3, but certainly a score of 2. So the Koreans would be 2-0 up after 2 ends of play. Skip along to the third end, an end that kind of went back and forth quite a bit. Results in Bin Yuang with a nose hit for 2. Sweeper just keeping it clean, and it's 2 points for China as it's a tied game after 3. And we saw Korea draw the button for 1 in the fourth end before another blank in the fifth. So it is still Korea leading 3 shots to 2 as we're just coming back onto the ice here in the Uiseong Curling Center. My name is Sander Elvåg and I'm joined by Hans Frauenlob to bring you the play-by-play. So what have you made of the game so far, Hans?
Well, it's a tight contest. I think the Korean team, even though they've got their nose in front in the scoreboard, they just seem to be fighting the conditions a little bit more than the Chinese team. Both teams have had a little bit of opportunity to put on some heat, but this game's evenly poised, could really go either way. These next couple of ends, I think we'll set this tone for it. China blanking to keep the hammer here in 6, so be really interested to see how aggressive Bin Yuang plays this end. China is electing the corner guard.
Yang lead for China. Two-time Youth Olympic participant, now taking a big step up into the Women's League.
Yeah, it can be quite a daunting thing for a young player to join a lineup with a former world champion and an Olympic medalist and feel like you belong and that you believe that you're a full member of the squad. But Yang seems to be stepping up to the challenge.
Well, you'll definitely learn a lot very quickly when you do that.
Get the usual rookie teasing, I'm sure, and be made to carry the broom bags and fetch the snacks.
Do women do that as much as the guys do?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Big time. Here we see the logo from here in Uiseong, in the first all-curling facility here in Korea. Beautiful facility. Next year, of course, we mentioned, or in 2018 rather, the Winter Olympics in Pyeongchang will feature the debut of mixed doubles curling for the first time as a full medal sport. And prior to the Pacific Asia Championships, the organizers here held a Pacific Asia mixed doubles competition, which many of these players used as a training opportunity. So it's going to be great to see mixed doubles taking the Olympic stage in 2018, right here in Korea. Lots of rocks in play, so this is shaping up as the interesting end that we were hoping for. Kim Sun-young looking for a sunny shot here. Well by the guard. Lots of weight. Blows by the back one. Wow. So it's green light go for Team China. They've got the hammer. They've got a bunch of guards. And they just got a miss. So can Jin Li Liu punish that mistake? Love to drill one behind that center guard. Good looking line. How's the weight? Oh, that's a beauty. Great shot.
Just a tad too deep. Definitely a chance for Korea to follow it.
Have to say though, you say it's too deep, and it arguably is, but you can also set the trap with these kinds of shots and get your opponent to chase you down, try to freeze it, and you're half a foot heavy and quarter rock wide, and all of a sudden you're looking at 3.
And this one's curling early.
It's all over the guard, I think.
Yep.
So here we go.
Yeah, things are starting to get a bit messy for Korea, but still a center guard in play, and forefoot area is kind of congested a little bit. It's the only worry for China at the moment. They definitely want to bring the corner guard and that rock in behind in the back 12 into play at some point.
Looked to me like Wang wanted to come around that one in the top 12 foot again.
Yeah, I think so. This one just hanging a bit wide though.
Yeah, it looks a little heavier than the first one. Starting to come down now. Straight on the nose of it, however. Pushes it back into the button area. The back button. It's not awful, but it's not what they were looking for.
That's pretty heavy actually.
So, maybe an opportunity lost for the Chinese, but there's still a lot of red stones accumulating around the edge of that house. Korean stones, the yellow stones are all behind the tee line. And that means they can't get better, they can only get worse.
Yeah, we'll see if Kim Kyung-ae can do a better attempt on the draw.
She's been uncharacteristically struggling a little bit with her hits, but a chance here to make a come around and really put her team on the attack.
It's a pretty snug part to get through.
Oh, they like the line. How's the weight? Over curling a fraction, but not bad. Certainly locks away that Chinese stone a bit. Interesting angles now. So great weight, right through the port. But because those stones were angled the way that they were, it was going to be difficult for her to get shot. So that's Bin Yuang looking at here. She's saying, can we run our own onto that yellow one? And that would jam the red on the yellow, and they could leave themselves lying 1-2. She hits about 3/4 on the outside of the stone. Yan Zhao. Well, worried about the line now. Is it over curling? Hits her own and pops it out. Oh my goodness. Disaster for the Chinese. They're trying to run that stone onto the Korean rock, but instead here we see on the replay, it goes past the yellow stone, picks off the red, and spills both of her own stones out of the rings. Always the danger when you're playing a run back with a lot of traffic. If you're not perfect, sometimes bad things can happen, and that was certainly a bad thing for the Chinese.
Oh, great chance for Kyung-Ae Kim to come around again and really apply the pressure on China. Just played this draw too. Should have a fair guess.
Almost exactly the same as the shot that she just threw.
Sweeper's not touching it this time.
Don't want the bounce if they can avoid it. Just a little one. Not bad.
Yeah, not
Probably
bad at all.
half available to the Chinese, but the angles are good for Korea. Would like that to be maybe 3 inches shorter of where it actually came to rest. Pretty good though. There we see 2 stones in the 4-foot. Both of them are getting a bit of cover from that front stone. Third shot in the back of the 8-foot. China's lying 4th shot, that red stone in the 12-foot. So an important shot here for China. Yan Zhou. A really ugly result with her last one, trying to atone here on the second shot. Got to get by that guard first. Just by. Well, pretty good result. Korea still lying 1, but the Chinese stone is now sitting almost right in front of it. And we see the sweepers doing a nice job getting it by the front stone. Pops one of the Korean stones right into your camera. So this will be an interesting play from Korea. Do you just try to pick this red one? You run the risk of a jam, and if it goes really badly, you could kill 2 of your own stones. You could also attempt to try and go across the face. And that reduces the risk of a jam. Or you could just guard it up.
I think they're just playing the soft hit and roll on the inside here.
Well, panic sweep early, but now they're off it. And there's that jam. Well, I'd say that's close to a misread, Sander. They really jumped it early, swept it hard. Seemed panicked that the stone was actually going to overcurl, but it actually undercurled and jammed their own. Always the danger. The curling coach that we used to work with, Canadian Bill Sherart, had a really, really useful tip for playing the game. He said, strategically, if you can't think of anything else to do, just throw one of your own stones in front of the other opposition stone, and you can try to generate some offense that way. And in that situation, the Chinese stone, with their last hit and roll, just sat in front of the Korean stones. It looked harmless enough, but all of a sudden, bang, jam, and hey, you've got something going if you're China. Team Korea looking on, wondering what the next move is going to be. Tight contest, so this is an important moment in the game. But now the veteran, world champion, Olympic medalist, Bin Yuang. Looks like she's having some second thoughts about the shot selection. Okay, they seem to have settled on it. Looking at the ice. Might be playing a draw around the center guard, maybe half around it, or just a straight guard to cover her shot. Definitely coming into the rings. Trying to get a bit of separation now, bumping her own onto the back stone. Oh, that's a great result. Effectively freeze welds her own stone onto the Korean stone and lies too, so sets up the steal possibility, or the possibility to generate points rather, and making life very difficult now for the Koreans.
근데 아예 2라인만 좀 그런 것 같고 2라인 타면 좀
Well, could this be the end that turns the game into one or the other team's favor? Lots of rocks in play. Still could go either way.
Uiseong Kim needs to be really careful here too. You cannot afford to overcurl this and clip your own top yellow.
Absolutely.
There might be a possible shot for 3 or 4. She has been tight on one in-turn hit so far in the game. Down the center line.
This one's really tracking.
Just maybe set that one back just a tad too much. Knowing that clipping the yellow would be...
Thin double maybe? Across the top. I was hoping for a roll into the button area to just maybe steal. Up 1, so Korea's thinking, well, okay, if we give up 2, it's again not great, but we'd only be 1 down.
Last stone of the 6th end. It is Korea up by 1, but China with a pretty good chance of scoring 2 here. Bin Wang with an out-turn draw. Sweepers on it early. Lots of backing, so just really need to get there.
And then their sweepers are really working it. I'm not sure if they do have it there. Really working it hard. Need a piece of the button. Have they got it there? And yes, they do. Great sweeping by Team China.
And that will be good enough for 2. And China now in the lead after 6 ends of play. It is China up by 1, 4 shots to 3. And we have at least 4 ends to go.
我出来感觉地还行，但是后来我寻思擦一擦去好一点，因为他俩出手他俩就开擦，然后我就寻思后头磕一点也行，这整个自动相反。
It will be interesting to see, you know, when you've got the hammer, sometimes you just go for it. And the deuce is good any time, whether it's on an even end or an odd end. So if Korea was able to score 2, they'd be very happy.
We'll see China put up the center guard probably trying to force Korea to score their 1 in 7th here, but that center guard being so long,
Well,
don't really want to draw around it, so they're playing the little tap out on the back stone. The other option could have been to throw another guard, actually, but
well, I agree.
choosing to be so aggressive.
Yeah, it's unusual to see you playing a tick shot on your own guard. They could have stacked 2, you're right. They could have gone 2 guards, but you're sort of inviting your opponent then to score a bundle if things go badly. So obviously they had in mind a specific spot for that guard and they didn't like it, so they wanted to just rearrange it. So Korea electing a corner guard, or maybe even coming into the house. Yep, slides in full to the tee line. Tee line being that circle that intersects the house.
It's a very cautious approach to scoring 2. I think I'd rather throw the corner guard if I was trying to score my 2, because keeping 2 stones in play, I think on average, it only lasts for about three rocks.
Yeah. It's almost like you're setting it up to try and actually blank
Yeah.
at the end of the whole story anyways. You're right, Sander. It's not an aggressive play to try and score 2. It's a cautious play. If you get lucky, you might be able to keep stones exchanged for the whole end and get your 2 that way. But as
Yeah.
you say, it's likelier than not that your opponent will make a double somewhere along the line.
It's basically saying, well, if we get our 2 for free, we'll take it. But
Exactly.
if not, we'll take the blank 2.
Exactly. Here's Kim Sung-young, Korean second. And to her teammates is Sunny. Not so sunny today here in Uiseong, but it was a beautiful sunny day yesterday. So we're getting notes about the town and the venue. It's a rural town in Southeast Korea, known for garlic. It's the garlic capital of Korea, Uiseong. Things you learn when you travel. It's a wonderful thing. This one's really moving. Sweeper's jumping it quickly. And now they like it. And there's the hit. There's the inside roll. Would love to sit in front of that yellow stone. Just across it a bit, but closing the house up. Sander was telling you about how difficult it is to maintain 2 stones in the house without protection for the whole end, and we see them creeping a bit closer together now. Kim with the out turn. Hits half, jams the back, rolls to the wing, and just clings on. Well, that probably wasn't plan A. Sweeper's just dusting it lightly. Rolls back towards that center line. So that both teams have got about 14 minutes and 40 seconds of thinking time remaining, so won't be too much time pressure on either team. Each team does have 1 timeout that they can call. And there's the nose hit. So after an action-packed 6th then, with lots of rocks in play, things are Pretty barren here on end number 7. Getting down to the business end of this game, trying to set themselves up for the close. So now the Korean tactics almost certainly are going to switch completely to trying to blank this end. It'll be really difficult for them to generate a deuce. Corner guard is almost unusable. But they will throw to that side of the sheet regardless. Will it stay in the rings? It's sliding past the tee line and through. So a little look of despondency there from Kim. Didn't want to slide through the rings there. She didn't have much of a target area. They were trying to use that corner guard, and that just gave her a target zone of maybe 1 or 2 feet. But 3 feet heavy and slides right through. But the only positive of that for the Koreans is that the stone slid far enough past the back of the house that the Chinese can't freeze to it. Stone also sliding to the tee line, but stopping on it. And that can be a real bonus for a skip sort of mid-late in the game to really just have a free draw like that with almost no pressure, and you can drill and lock in your draw weight for the 8th, 9th, and 10th ends when you might really need it. So a bit of an early Christmas present there for Bin Yuang, a chance to just drill one on the tee line. Kim Eun-jung, on the other hand, has to deal with that rock now, so no draws for her. Wants to stick around. Rolls to the center of the house and comes to rest in the back of the 8-foot. So we're definitely tracking towards a blank. Or at least a blank attempt. China, after that really well swept rock in the last end with their deuce, looking to hold a really narrow edge, but this game is still really evenly poised, could go either way. Wants to stay in the rings and make Kim at least make a pass at it to get a blank. And she does.
Room's already up for Eun Kim. She's on her way. Kim looking to hit the Chinese stone, but only hit half of it and roll out it herself to preserve last rock into the 8th. And to deliberately not have a stone in the rings. Yep, last stone on the 7th end. Supers are on it. For good reason, because that actually over curls and will stick around. That's a big mistake by Uiseong Kim, having played for the blank all the way through. But we do see this happen from time to time. And it will be a score of 1. And definitely China will be the happier of the two sides with that result, as China will now pick up the last advantage for the 8th end, which we will have in just a few moments.
Kim Young-mi, otherwise known as Pancake. Korean lead getting us underway here on end number 8. And Sander, what do you think will be going through the minds of the Korean team after that attempted blank slammed almost onto the nose and turned into a force? How do you reset from that?
You just got to forget it happened, really. Nothing to dwell on. And just be happy that it's a tied game and you're still in it. So definitely a good chance to still win the game. Yeah. Uiseong Kim, that's always a tricky part. If you're the skip and you miss a shot like that, you're standing in the other end by yourself, and you might just be fuming for the whole end. And it's kind of important for you to just kind of forget it, and maybe even your teammates might kind of chime in and, you know, kind of tell you to forget it.
Yeah, it definitely resets the plan for end number 8, though. You go from a situation where you're thinking, okay, we're going to have the hammer in 8, and we can try and set it up and run the game out, to now somewhere along the line, whether it's in this end or in the 9th, you might have to try something a little bit different just to try and give yourself some kind of control for the 10th. So the center guard's up. The Chinese stone is in the button area. And it looks like the Koreans are looking to just follow that stone down. Love to be able to weld right on top of that Chinese stone. A foot short, but not bad. So game on, folks. Here we go. We're tied up at 4. China does have last rock here on end number 8. As I said earlier, if the teams are tied after 10 ends, we will have an extra end to decide a winner. But after that unexpected blank attempt turning into a force, you'd have to say at this point, slight advantage China, but very slight. This is shaping up like a very entertaining end. 4 stones played, 4 rocks in play, almost all of them on the center line, and looks like the Koreans are going to want to stack up another one.
Yeah, we're looking to play the little hit and roll first, but change their mind. Thinking it's probably easier to place a draw. Definitely don't want to wreck on the guard with any board type shot and ruin the whole end. Not sure if that was supposed to be a guard or not. Pretty sure they're looking to freeze the red, but
Well, I did see her pointing short of the house, so it might have been a guard, but I do think they would have liked it to curl a bit more. Not sure if they've left a hole, but Bin Wang is sensing the danger already and saying, well, time to run some of these guards, folks.
and someone might ask why remove the guards when you have shot stone?
Well, you know, it's a very defensive play, but this game is tied. Well, she's getting rid of 2 of them, and maybe it is because they were staggered in such a way that she thought she could clear a couple. But she just sticks her own shooter right in front of the pile. But it does eliminate a couple of raisable stones for the Koreans and for the Chinese now, even though that yellow stone's a danger stone. Now it's their own stones that are controlling the house. They might try and raise them later in the end. And second stone, so 5 stones each to come. Well, have they lined them up? Two guards, and there we see yellow, red, red.
把这个保掉，还是拿前的这个找一个？
我觉得拿前面找吧。
直接保掉，然后再往这去。
Bin Wang is thinking, well, that could get squirrely. What am I going to do?
好打吗？找这个。
Yellow stones belong to Korea.
有点
China with the red rocks.
前的这找一个。
行。
OK。
打定吗？
不要打到稍微偏一点儿。
Well, looking to clear things up here. Play the double on the guards. Maybe spin the red guard back onto the red stone top 8 onto the yellow stone in the 8-foot.
Yeah, these are always heart in your mouth kind of shots. It's the right thing to do to try and rearrange the guards, but sometimes really ugly things can happen when you're trying to do this as well, when there's so many stones in play. Let's watch.
Oh, so I'll do exactly that.
That's a pretty good result.
And keeps the shooter as a corner guard and shot stone on the 4-foot, so yeah, it's pretty good.
你要直接把它保
Here we go. Bang, 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 bang. Stones flying left, right, and center. Leaving the Chinese stone on the front of the button. And a couple of potentially useful guards out there, well out of the danger zone as far as the Chinese go.
Yeah, I'd say most importantly, just really no way Korea's stealing in the sun now, I think.
Now 4-foot's wide open now.
And just hit and roll, maybe just rolling a bit too far. We'll allow China with a chance to come around the corner, even with some backing.
Okay, well, this is interesting. So ignoring that stone and saying, yeah, we've got that guard. Let's try to get our deuce right now. The other play would be to remove the Korean stone and try to keep thinking blank. But if you do remove that Korean stone, you're sitting at the back of the house and almost inviting the Korea to go around the guard themselves. So the veteran Bin Wang says, let's get in there first.
Definitely scoring 2 in the 8th is always a good option.
Absolutely. It's a great time to go for it. We'd love to sit just in front of the tee line. It might be skating a little deeper than they'd like. Maybe 2 feet.
14秒7。
Well, certainly bringing the play out to the wing, though.
Yeah. Does create a bailout for the Koreans, though. They can follow that one down and sit right on top of it and generate that force that they themselves gave up on end number 7. Kim Kyung-ae. Must get it by the guard. They can't afford to crash this one. But it does look like it's over curling, and it is all over that guard.
Well, the Korean teams struggle with the draws
Sure have.
a few times this game.
We talked about this being their home club, but they seem to be fighting the conditions more than the Chinese, that's for sure. And here's the golden opportunity for the Chinese.
Well, the ice could be different for this event than usual.
Absolutely.
Different ice makers and
a different
kind of
set of
preps only for this event and so on. So it might even throw them off a wee bit if the ice is different than.
That's true.
I'm not 100% sure, but I assume they're using different stones as well.
I think the stones are from the Uiseong Curling Club. But here we go. Great come around for the Chinese, trying to bury this stone behind those two center guards, and that is perfect. Great shot. And green light China.
Yeah, Koreans in trouble.
That is a beauty. Look at that. Two stones perfectly behind the guard. And big trouble here for Team Korea. China's got last rock, remember, here on the 8th.
Right, the runbacks looks kind of difficult. Those guards are almost staggered.
Yeah, the angles are terrible on the run back. Not much better to try and come in turn around the guards and come to that back one, but that seems to be what they're looking at. Aren't too many good options here.
That's a pretty tough draw.
Very tough.
Out in the rough.
Yeah, I'd be thinking if she's playing this shot, she's probably thinking back 12-foot weight and just get to the nose of it and try to nudge it back through the house. But there you see, excellent shot here from the hack end that stone is completely buried, so I don't even think she could throw back 12 foot at it and make it. She's probably having to just throw a straight draw. Out in the weeds.
Yeah, well, basically ice tends to keen up when you play it, but if it's not being played as much as out in the wing, it might just be a tad slower. So this might just be a bit of a guess for Kim Eun-young.
And that side of the sheet, as we're seeing, also tends to be straighter, so the stones will track a little bit. Now it's dragging down. They must get it into the rings and in front of that stone, but maybe they've left it a bit too late and it just comes to rest in the 12-foot.
Yeah, just waiting for line to for too long there, and finally grabbed some pebble.
So trouble's compounding now for the Koreans, but talked about a golden opportunity for former world champion Bin-Yu Wang. She knows this is a chance to kind of go for the kill. She's in great shape to score 2. In possible shape to score 3, and it looks like she's just going to throw a stone on the other side of the rings and take the play away from these stones on the left side as we're looking at it. It's a safe play. A really aggressive play would be to throw another one right down on top of the one that was thrown by her third player, but this is a very sensible play. What she doesn't want to do is leave it high in the house and give the Koreans a hit and roll behind the pile, so the team will be looking to get this stone right back to the tee line if they can. This one's coming up light as well, though. Will they even get it to the rings? My goodness, they've come short.
That's a huge let off for Korea.
Wow. Korea's not done yet, though. They're still got big work to do. Looking at promoting the stone that she just threw. She's wondering, can I get to the nose of that and tap it back? Or do I play takeout weight at it and just try to hit the second stone? I'm sort of in the twilight zone of being in between here. The play is definitely going to be some kind of a play on that yellow stone in the front 12 foot. The question is, do you try to squeak at the red guard and tap the yellow one straight back? Or do you say, well, if we give up 3, we lose the game, and you could angle that yellow one in on the second shot rock at the top 12 foot, and maybe it spills backwards towards the shot. Very risky and hard to control, though.
방금 8번이라고?
But it's hard to see how she's going to get to nose and with enough weight to push it back.
Well, I think there's always a chance to just catch a third here and spin it off the top one and
She
down
can certainly
onto the
spin it
second.
off the top one. I think that is the play with the less weight.
Two options. She's going to make contact first.
Well, yes and no. They're not quite sure about the line, but they're by the guard. There's the hit, there's the spin. Oh, what a great result for Korea. Oh, and just spilled a little bit to the right. Did they lose second shot? China's lying one. Just with that spin at the very last. I think Korea is still second, but here we see the sweepers just getting it by the guard, getting that contact, getting the spin. The yellow one is still spinning and makes contact on the back stone. Let's watch. They were hoping it would get on the inside of that red rock at the back. Makes contact and squirts a little bit to the right. But it's definitely a shot for two for China. Question is it a shot for three? I would say that the Korean stone is second shot, so this looks like a draw for two.
Yep, last one of the eighth end for Binyuang. Tied game so far. Score of two here would certainly put her in the driving seat. 2 ends to go. Sweepers looking reasonably happy here. Just kind of medium brushing it into the forfeit. So certainly a score of 2, and we'll see if they can confirm after going to measure or not. I don't think so. So it is 2 for Team China. And they will have a 6 shots to 4 lead after 8 ends of play. And it's fair to say that Korea is going to have to try and score 2 back in 9.
Well, Sandra, that was an exciting 8th end with lots of twists and turns, but a huge deuce for the Chinese. And you see in number 9 of this 10-end contest, 2009 world champion Bin Wang and her new-look Chinese team with a big deuce in the 8th. So it's going to be all guns blazing here for Team Korea. Trying to do everything they can to generate a deuce. And maybe more. You don't want this one to slide into the rings. If it stops short of the rings, it's in the free guard zone, which means your opponent can't remove it from play. And it does stop just short. So for me, Sander, this third stone of the end is always the key decision shot for how the end is actually going to go. In this situation, you throw your first one in your rings, you know your opponent's going to throw the corner guard. So you see the corner guard, and it's what you do next, which is always the interesting choice for me.
I don't mind them putting it into the house. Just knowing that if Korea ends up playing a little hit and rolls out the house, they can peel the corner and the end is officially over.
Yeah, it's really, really hard to ignore 2 stones in the ring for long.
Well, for now they will. Just throw another corner.
Yep, if you're Korea, you definitely have to make this play.
I've seen this approach, or many different approaches from different teams. You might see some just come straight around the corner, start tapping the red stones, or even come around both the red stones in the back of the house.
Yeah, a lot depends mentally if you're thinking about 2 or 3.
Yep.
You know, if you're thinking about 3, then you'll throw the second corner guard and try to build something up. As you say, in other situations, if you're happy with 2 and you've got 2 stones in the rings and a corner guard, you can play it differently.
Well, throwing these corners, you're basically hoping for a missed peel from Team China. You might just get one here. No.
Free guard zone rule only applies for the first 4 stones of the end, so now the Chinese are free to rip guards, and they executed that well. So we talk about decision points for Bin Yu Wang. Now it's decision points for Kim Un-jung. How do you try to build it up from here, knowing that your opponent is just going to be ripping guards? In these situations when you're trailing, you have to be really patient and really focused about where you set your guards, because if you leave your opponent a double clear, in other words, removing both of your guards with 1 shot, then your hopes and dreams for the end are basically gone. So rock placement is critical. There's one.
I actually caught that one too thin.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to do.
Okay, nice shot.
China knows that the only bad result for them in this end is dropping 3. They could even drop 2, and they'd be not too unhappy to play the 10th end tied with last rock. They'd, of course, prefer to be ahead. Team Korea knows that they have to attack this in 2 phases. They have to get their deuce somehow, and then they're going to have to steal. Thinking back to that 8th end, there's that one draw that slid a little bit behind the tee line to set up a come around freeze, and then it was all on for Team China. One rock being 2 feet deeper than they would have liked really opened the door. Nice execution by the Chinese, removing guards. Looks easy, but it's harder than it looks, especially when you've got to navigate your own stones in the rings. There's always a risk of a jam. So, nice shooting by the Chinese. I mentioned earlier that China will be hosting the 2017 World Women's Curling Championships in Beijing. So the Chinese team, as the host nation, will be making an appearance at that World Championships. It's also the final World Championships in this Olympic cycle, where countries can earn qualification points towards making the field in Pyeongchang. Korea, of course, will be there as the host nation at that event. 7 other countries will earn their places based on qualification points earned at World Championships. And 2 nations will earn their place through the Olympic qualifier event. Deep into the house, trying to generate something, the Koreans. There we see, not a bad shot. Back of the 8-foot, but it's behind that corner guard. And then Yu Wang saying, okay, well played. I want to get rid of that guard.
下线把前打开。11秒。
Okay, just tempted enough to say we'll make a play at it. Bit of a teaser. Sometimes it's better to be not completely buried and just show your opponent a piece of the rock and make them chase it.
11秒5。
OK，猜猜腰，抬腰，抬腰。
You don't want to be in between both shots, though. Ooh. That was so close to feathering that front one, which would have been disastrous.
这侧好直啊！
A relieved smile there from Yan Zhou. Now we talked about it's hard to ignore two stones in the rings, and finally the Koreans have to deal with them. Have to move them at least.
8번 9.
Delicate shot here. Just trying to bump that stone behind the tee line, leave her own stone sitting in front.
계속 와야 돼. 헐라이 가드?
많이 앞에.
아니다.
Making it hard for line. They're worried about it over curling.
라인은 괜찮아. 일단 와야 돼. 와야 돼.
Looking for contact, but just a bit quiet with the weight and just pushes the Chinese stone into the front of the 4-foot. I'm pretty sure the Chinese will just look to eliminate that Korean stone. Bin Yu Wang now sensing
8秒8秒5。
a chance to clinch this one isn't far away, but she just has to keep her nerve and just execute well. Well played. Picks out the Korean stone, rolls out herself, which she won't mind a bit. And China lies too.
小了是吗？
是好像是有点直出了这块儿。
哦，
So,
就是没太高。
what do you do if you're Korea?
还可以再小一点。
Do you play the double takeout and somehow try to blank 9 and score 2 and 10? You know that Bin Yu Wang is just going to come around the corner guard if you do that.
Well, I think there's a chance to play the double and stick the shooter.
Oh, definitely.
Still allow Wang to play the hit and roll though, but
我站一个也行，是不是？
yeah, I just think
This is a very aggressive shot choice here by the Koreans. Looks like they're just going to try and tap the stone on the button. Back about, less than a foot. Enough to leave them shot, but leave their own stone somehow in front of the Chinese stone.
维持。
Just rubs the top one and corrects the course a little bit and pushes the red stone back. So not a bad result, actually. China still lies 1, but because of that little rub on the stone in the front of the 4-foot, the yellow stone is much more difficult now for the Chinese to remove.
yeah, so that's a pretty good result.
It sure is.
Can't really guard it either because
No, you can't.
come on, she'll have the double on the reds for 2, and even
You
the
can't
run
guard.
back might be there for 2.
Yep, can't guard everything here if you're the Chinese. So a little bit of good fortune for the Koreans. Worked out well.
14秒。
对，它是14秒，13秒99的力量。
I wonder if the call was a freeze here in the end. They're definitely taking ice for a draw.
It's definitely, yes. It's either a draw or a freeze.
And they're sort of pointing in the freeze area, so to speak.
Well, we said that Bin Wang, the only thing she didn't want to do is give up 2, so she's maybe just choosing a shot that's going to make it very, very, very difficult for the Koreans to score more than 1. She'd be really happy to give the Koreans 1. She'd be even happier to steal the end. Is it over curling? Makes contact with her own.
I think that works out pretty well.
Well, is there a shot on the in turn to just bump the yellow with down weight and maybe save the shooter for 2? It might just be there. She would have to roll the shot rock into the right-hand side of the forefoot, but I think it's there, Sander.
I think it definitely is there too. Just not an easy one.
Not an easy shot at all. She'll need to make about a quarter of the rock with enough quiet weight that her shot rock rolls enough to get second shot, but doesn't roll so far that it rolls out of the forefoot. Very delicate shot, but it's there. It's makeable. And a crucial, crucial shot here for Korea. So after that brave call on her first shot to try and just bump freeze the Chinese stone to try and generate some offense, an attempted freeze there from Bin Wang, slightly over curling and opening the door here very slightly for Kim Eun-jung. Let's watch. This should be a tight, tight, tight shot.
Oh, last one of the 9th end.
Got to get it by that top one first.
Definitely has enough weight here. Gets by the top one. No, just going to tickle it. And that's not going to be enough to move the red shot stone. And unfortunately, that's going to be a steal and 1 for China. Pretty close. Just wonder if she kind of threw a bit too much weight there. A little tight, a little heavy. And not 100% sure if it would have been 2 even if she made it past the top stone there. We'll never know. One thing's for sure, China will be leading the game 7 shots to 4, and we have 1 end to go. All right, so we're down to what could be the final end of play here between China and Korea. It is Team China up by 3, so you'll see them just throw their first stone right through the house, not wanting too many stones in play, just keep it simple. Just make sure Korea does not pick up 3 points and push this game into an extra. Of course, we'll see the Koreans do quite the opposite, try and put as many stones as possible in play, starting off with a corner guard. And hope they'll basically be hoping for a mistake from China, because if China makes all their simple shots well, there's no way Korea is scoring 3. But 1 mistake might be enough for them to do so.
Yeah, in a real sense, they need 2 mistakes from the Chinese, or at least 1.5 mistakes to have a realistic chance to score 3. But yeah, I'm still reflecting on that last stone in the 9th end. It was a very difficult shot, makeable shot, and they actually called the sweepers off halfway down the ice. It looked like a lot of weight for the shot, and that stone actually over curled, and all of a sudden China steals 1. So what's been a very close and tightly fought contest is, as quickly as that broken open, and now China is just trying to steer the boat home with a 3-point lead. in the 10th and final end. It's been an interesting first draw here in the women's event here at the Pacific Asia Curling Championships 2016. These are two of the more highly rated teams in this field, and we knew the contest was going to be a close one, and it was. But as so often happens, a decisive moment in the late ends of the game has really tilted this in the favor of the Chinese.
Well, that's the third time in a row I've seen a very, very, very thin peel from Yinlin Liu.
No, it's good execution. If you're going to, usually when peels are missed, they're nose hits. So it's quite a skill to be able to hit a quarter of the rock consistently like she's been doing. She's executing peels really well. Korea has to stay patient. It can be demoralizing when your opponent is throwing good peels, but you just have to keep setting guards. And as we said, it's going to take a Chinese error or two. And there we see a second guard. Korea's going to need both of those guards to try and generate their three. Sweeper's really working this one. And again, like a machine. Great job.
Yeah, it's a pretty simple shot, but just always slightly more difficult to do in a 10th end of a big championship.
And it's the kind of shot that, especially when you know you're ahead and you're ready to close it out, that you can get out of your throwing routine and just not, you can overthrow it, you can add too much weight.
You can overthink it.
You can definitely overthink it. So the high quality second stones that are really, really awesome at peeling generally can just dial it up on demand and just throw consistently the same weight, the same weight. A lot of the stronger players will also add a little bit of rotation as well, so they can do that with control, and that just increases the chance that their stone's going to roll away.
Yanzhou also try corner guard peel. Gets one, gets two. Stick the shooter right there, but good shot nonetheless.
There's a smile from Zhao, and rightfully so. Nice job. Leaves her own stone in front of the rings, but there are no Korean rocks in play now, and Team China's in countdown mode. They know Korea needs 3. They've only got 4 to come.
Well, she struggled with the draw weight a few times in this game. Kim Kyung-ae. This one looking pretty good though.
Well, for the Koreans, you've got no choice. There's only one guard out there. So you can't really afford to throw another guard of your own. You have to try and use that guard yourself. Now it's an embarrassment of riches for the Chinese. They can pick off the Korean stone, or even if they hit their own stone in the front of the rings and peel it off, either is a good result. And now we see Bin Yuang saying, okay, we won't even muck around. We'll just play the front stone.
Well, I didn't mind going after the shot zone. Just got to make sure you err on the guard side of it. And with them having now trying to peel the guard, they missed the guard.
Nose hit their own stone.
Hit. I'd say if you went after the Yellowstone in the house and missed it, you probably just peeled the guard.
Yeah, you at least have two options playing the either or. So a small break that we talked about. The Koreans needed probably 1.5 Chinese misses, so that was the first one. That was a miss, definitely.
Yeah, and we could draw around here. Put a little pressure. We'll put a little pressure on Bin Yuang to make a good one. And that is if these sweepers can get it past the guard. Getting really close.
This does look light.
Yeah, that's a shame. We really had the chance there.
Sure did.
But 2 guards and 1 stone in the house. Well protected, 2 stones to go for Korea. There's a mathematical chance.
As the late great Yogi Berra used to say, it ain't over till it's over.
Baseball player.
Baseball player. Well-known philosopher.
Yeah, right now I just want to hit something yellow.
Yeah, you just want to hit anything early. I'm calling timeout. Well, that's interesting.
I guess you just want to make sure they don't make a mistake here.
Well, about the only bad thing that they could do here is either miss everything or nose something. So they could hit the Yellowstone on the center line on the outside and maybe kill everything. That would be my first choice. But even if they hit the red stone, rolled away, Korea comes around, you've still got some kind of a run back or something to pick out, and Korea has to score 3. My choice here would be just to clear the Yellowstone on the center line on the high side, hit half of it. You probably pick the yellow one out, and the game's pretty much over. Let's listen.
拿红的找吗？拿红的找，然后这样的话就直接就打开了，反正是。OK， 这个比较。
Coach Wei Dong-tan seemed to be pretty certain about what he wanted to do. Looks like they're going to peel the red stone here.
It does, and there's nothing wrong with that either. It's either peel's okay as long as you make it. The thing about the red peel is that if you do nose it, you're going to run it back and pick the one off in the back anyway. So maybe that was the rationale, is that if you do make an error, you still might get away with something. Whereas if you nose the yellow one, you might blow it past the one in the back, and that's ugly. So there we see. Choice has been made just to try and eliminate that red stone, trying to hit half on the outside and just roll away.
I think I'd still be tempted to hit the yellow one.
Yeah, as I said, I think my preference would have been the yellow. I think it's a slightly easier shot, but...
As we'll see, Bin Yuang now peel this red one, but pretty sure Korea will try and come half around the center guard, staggered Christmas tree.
Christmas tree it, absolutely.
And then it might be a little hard for Bin Yuang to peel out one of the yellows.
And there's definitely the glimmer of a chance here for the Koreans.
I'd say there's a chance soon that guard is even splittable.
Yeah, definitely. And so that would make a very interesting choice for the Koreans if they had the opportunity to somehow try and split that stone on for a 4 and to win the game outright, which would be a real turnaround.
So they come half around the guard here. Bin Yuang maybe picks out one of the rocks, but
feathers the guard coming around, and yep, anything. So, but first things first, this one has to be made. In turn, come around, trying to come around the center guard and half or 3/4 bury, probably top 8 foot.
It's got some line for the moment.
Well, they gotta hide something. They can't leave this in the open. They need some kind of protection behind that guard, and they want to be in front of the tee line. Working it hard now, really coming down, grinding. Want to bury half, dragging it into the 8 foot. That's a pretty good shot.
I'd say so. Yeah, I don't think Binyuan can see more than half of any of the stones.
No. So there we go. Great result, and there's the Christmas tree we're talking about.
Yeah, so if Binyuan hits the back one and spills the shooter, Korea gets the split
Has
for
a
3.
split for attempt to split for 3 to tie the game. Yeah, it's there we see. We're talking about a split. That stone that's in front of the house, off the rings.
It's pretty tough.
Possible. It's a long split, but if you hit it very thin, with you'd have to throw back 8 foot weight at it. You could push them both onto the rings. And if you're Korea at this point, when you're 3 down, you're looking for any option you've got.
I'd say perfect shot here for Binyuan. Just hit the back one and keep the shooter in the house somewhere.
Yeah.
And 3's out of,
Yep. If
out
she
of the
can,
question. Even if she spills the shooter, Korea's faced with a really tough split to score 3.
Yep. I agree.
If you ever miss this one,
Yeah,
you just peel the top center guard. It's just an open house draw for 3. So
Yep. It's
just kind of playing the more difficult shot yourself and leaving an easier one for your opponent. But
I agree. And so there we see the back stone is available, but only half of it. And Wang was obviously concerned of feathering one of the stones in front of it and maybe giving a chance for 4. So she's electing the more difficult shot, trying to peel the center. But if she hits a 3/4 on the high side, she probably doubles 2 stones off and ends the game right here. Let's watch.
that could be the decisive rock right here. Needs to get 2. That's 1.
Oh, and
That's
she
it.
does indeed blow it past the stone. So out of nowhere, Korea has an open draw to hit the house and send this one to an extra end. Can you believe it?
They can't really hands it. To me, that's two really bad calls on the 2 last rocks, and
Yeah.
obviously poor execution on the last one as well. But
I agree. It was a very risky strategy to just try and peel a guard when eliminating one of the stones in the rings, and just even sitting in the rings yourself, she could have drawn into the 4 foot and made this a much tougher shot for 3, but still gonna make it.
so last stone of the 10th end here. Just gotta hit the paint really, and we'll push this game into an extra. Kim Eun-young with the throw. That's Kim Kyung-hye in the house watching this stone come to rest. And I have to say,
Makes it exciting.
it was a bit heavy, but had the backing there. And it's good enough for 3. Wowie, didn't quite see that coming.
No.
China played pretty much a perfect end until they nosed one of the guards. And Korea did the best they could. Picked up 3, extra end in play. We'll be back with that very shortly. And so it has. End 11.
We said that the Koreans needed 1.5 misses from the Chinese, and that's what they got. Actually had 2.5 misses in the end, and they capitalized, scoring an unlikely 3 in the 10th end. And we've got bonus curling for you folks. Extra end here in the first draw of the Pacific Asia Curling Championships 2016 here in Uiseong, Korea. And the home team giving the home fans something to smile about. You would have said for all money that the Koreans were dead and buried, but like Lazarus, they've just risen up and they've got new life.
Yep, last game out in the arena today. So Japan pick up a win against Qatar. Australia beat Kazakhstan. And New Zealand actually picked up a steal of 2 in the 10th end to beat Hong Kong. So it's all but quiet out in the arena as we see a brilliant tick shot.
Yeah, very well played. We talked about the free guard zone where you're not allowed to remove your opponent's stone from play for the first 4 stones of the end, but you can certainly reposition them. And that's what Yang did.
And Kim Young-mi just going to have to put up another guard, really. You might even see some teams try and put the stones just off the center line, just to make the tick shot just a little more uncomfortable for the opposite lead.
Yep, change the angle a little bit.
This one comes a little tight to the house.
It's interesting, though. I don't mind those tight center guards in a situation where you know your opponent is just going to try and reposition things. Because I think the tick shot is actually harder when you've got the thing that tight to the rings.
That might just be a preference. A really, really long guard also.
Yeah,
it's a little harder because you never get the finish.
that's right. But the Koreans will do everything they can to try and generate some junk. Give themselves stones to use later in the end. Chinese here trying to come around that guard, but they're sliding deep into the house. So if you're Korea, you're thinking, okay, something to work with here. Let's have another guard, please.
Yeah, I don't know why they didn't just play another tick shot there. Seemed to execute the first one well. I'm pretty sure that was the draw. Definitely took ice for it.
Yep.
About 6 feet of ice for a tick shot. Never seen that before. So.
Yeah, sometimes teams think, oh, well, we just get in there first. But the risk in that is if you're a little bit heavy, giving your opponent a chance to throw up another guard or come around themselves.
South Korea actually putting up another guard.
Yep, they'll try and defend that center line as much as they possibly can to try and make the last shot for Bin Yuang as difficult as possible. Give themselves something to hide behind themselves. Korea will play the whole end, trying to have some kind of a center guard to go behind and use on their very last shot.
A bit of a drifty slide from Yinli Liu, which has been quite solid with their peels. Well, she'll make this one too.
Yeah, good recovery there from a bit of a wobbly slide. Good players know how to adjust. Like golfers, you know, a curler has a routine in the delivery, and sometimes there's a little bit of a tweak, and the good players will know how to adjust and save the shot.
많이 세? 기다려.
그냥 올려야 돼, 올려야 돼.
아니 영미 기다려 그냥.
그냥 올려야 돼.
듣고 있어.
돌까이가.
아까
돌라마, 돌라마.
네 발.
The momentum here with the Koreans, even though they don't have last rock,
발라마요.
they'll be feeling pretty good after that 3 to tie this game. And things are building up rather nicely for them here in the extra. China, on the other hand, just trying to give themselves a path to the forefoot and an easy shot. They just need to score 1 to win this game.
Maybe just set that one back a wee bit here, but good enough.
Oh, that's a bit more interesting. Sort of jam the shot on the side. A bit of a saver there for the Koreans. It may not come into play, but sometimes you never know in ends like this. That redstone, of course, in the back 8 foot is counting it out. Every rock in play at this point for the Koreans is welcome, no matter where on the sheet it is. Gives you something you can possibly work with.
웨이트만 둘러 하나 둘 선영이가 가. 일단 와 웨이트만 와줘. 일단 와야 돼. 와야 돼. 계속 와야 된다.
Really working this.
넘기업이야. 넘기업이야.
about it over curling. It's a long guard. Sitting squarely on the center line, though.
Well, you know, China could see a whole piece of the tight guard and actually come after that with some softer weight.
Yep.
If they wanted to. Maybe just keeping it simple.
For Korea, you want good separation between the guards so they can't be doubled off. So China lying one in the back of the 8-foot. Korea second shot, edge of the 12-foot. But neither of those stones are really the material ones at this point. The material stones is that stone right at the top of our screen, the guard guarding that center line. Now Korea come into that zone. Not sure if they're going to try one more guard or if they're going to try to come in now. All three sweepers on it, so they're worried about the weight. They're across the center line now, or across the hog line rather.
Only the thrower sweeping.
Yeah. So great separation between those guards for the Koreans. Very difficult for them to be doubled off. Almost impossible.
And I see Bin Yuang now changing the turn as well, because they were pretty close to jamming on the corner guard actually on the previous one.
Yeah, there's lots of rocks in play, way more than the Chinese would like.
If you're really unlucky, you could actually peel the guard onto the corner and spin it into the forfeit. So changing the turn. And this one, I'll go past everything. And I wouldn't be too surprised if we saw Korea come around the center now, but I think they might have called a timeout actually. Unless,
yeah, it's definitely decision time for the Koreans, and the decision is simply this: do you throw one more guard, or do you say now's the time and go for the forfeit right now? I think either choice is really valid.
Yeah, throw the guard. You might see Bin Yuang actually draw around to try and kill the path, but of course there's some pressure for that shot.
And some risk. I mean, there's, depending how long you leave the center guard, if the Chinese decided to go for the forefoot themselves, chances are there's some kind of a shot for the Koreans, whether it's a draw down the other turn or an in-off of that stone on the right-hand side of our screen. But yeah, big decision now for the Koreans is, do you go for your victory point now and try to make the come around, or you've built the end up so nicely? Let's listen into Coach Peter Gallant.
넣고
저기 넣으라고?
그다음에 이거를 가지러 가라고.
아.
Yeah. The guard has to be tight. It has to be in the 12 foot. Okay. You know the answer.
Yeah, yeah.
We know the answer.
Yeah.
Well, they're definitely going to play the intern side, and it sounded to me like they were electing the guard. I like this call as long as they don't bring the guards too close together to make an easy double clear for the Chinese. So you want some separation, I would have thought.
I kind of like the draw. If you kind of gives you two chances, you know, if you end up showing half, Bin Yuang might peel it out and you get a better chance of coming around. Or not, you just bring it into the house somewhere for shot stone and Bin Yuang peels the guard. You get to bring another stone in, sit two, make it awkward for Wang.
Yep. Now, either option is good, which is why they were consulting their coach. And it still might be the draw. I thought I heard him say tight. Guard has to be tight, but still possible they might be playing the come around. Wow, what an exciting finish to this game. Tight through 7 ends, and then the Chinese gained its ascendancy. We thought this game was done and dusted when they were up 7-4, but then the Koreans with an amazing score of 3 out of thin air in the 10th. And now, if they can make this an interesting chance to actually thieve this game and steal victory from the Chinese. So it is the come around. They're well by the guard. They're looking to bury some of it into the front of the forefoot. Great weight, but not buried. I would say, quarter buried maybe.
Let's see what Bin Yuang does.
Yeah, it's an interesting choice. There we see from the hack end that stone, there's about 2/3 to 3/4 available for the Chinese. Small risk of a jam on the back stone. So there we see it. Yellow stones belong to Korea. And even if Wang makes this shot, there's still the draw on the outturn side for the Koreans. So we're in for a fantastic finish.
The question is, you just play this to just pick it out, or are you trying to sit on top the...
Well, looking at this ice, it doesn't look like the kind of ice that she's just trying to play the pick. It looks like she's just wanting to keep her own stone in there and maybe push it back into the 8-foot. Hard to tell with that broom.
I think Bin Yuang just changed her mind.
Well, a lot of thinking here. And they are now electing to clear the guard.
Well, they might actually be running it in too.
Well, there is
Trying
the
to slash
chance
them.
that you could remove the guard and remove both Korean stones. You're right.
It's pretty close. Just going to stuff it, but if anything, the yellow stone's a little further away from the pin.
Yeah, so she's enlarged the forefoot for herself for her last shot, but now, well, now the interesting decisions swing to the Koreans. You see there's a red stone just short of the rings. They'll be asking themselves, is that stone enough for us to win? Can we bump it? Can we split it?
That was a big problem for Bin Yuang. She's kind of choked off the outturn draw for herself with the shooter.
She's definitely made the outturn a difficult shot. Obviously, she would still have the run back to raise that red stone back onto something. I think the Koreans, they're thinking about the in-turn around the red. You could just feather that shot and redirect it. Promote that stone back into the back of the forefoot and use the thrown stone as a guard, even though it would be in the front of the 8-foot. Just bump that slightly forward and leave her own sitting on the front of the 8-foot, making the shot options difficult for Wang. What we do know for sure, Sander, is that Bin Yuang is going to have to throw her last one, and it's probably going to be a tricky shot. I'd also like to guard that shot and hope that that's good enough. We did talk about how that outturn path is now blocked off a little bit by that guard, so
I think you want to bring it in either the bump or just a straight draw around the red. Try to dump the yellow straight, leave a double for Bin Yuang. Come around the red, probably leave Bin Yuang a chance to follow with back ring weight just to tap it up for the win. So I think it's kind of preference what you like to leave Bin Yuang here.
absolutely you want to make the final stone for your opponent as difficult as you possibly can. 7-7. We're in extra end action here at the Pacific Asia Curling Championships 2016. Final stone of the extra end for Korean skip Kim Eun-young.
Well, with that ice, it could be either of the options. Let's say maybe looking for the tap here. Gotta make sure. Hopefully she hasn't overthrown it.
Well, she doesn't want to bump it straight back. If she does get action on the shooter. She wants to get across the face of it, but no, it's on the nose of it. Wants to push it as far as deep as she can now.
You know, that's actually not too bad there, Hans.
Well, it's interesting. The question is there a double there now for Wang that could just nose it and kill both Korean stones and blow past the back one? But the angles are interesting.
You might have just lined that up onto the back red.
Yeah, so there we get a great look from our overhead. 2 yellow stones belong to Korea.
I think
If
that's
China struck the first stone on the nose, it would drive that second Korean stone straight back on the red and probably jam it, and that would be game over and victory for Korea.
逆时这个点。
If you hit 3/4 of this on the high side and make the double, that seems to be what she's opting for. She's trying to hit the top stone, about 3/4, careen it off the second stone, pushing it past the red stone in the back as her saver to win the game. Wow. Fasten your seatbelts, folks. This is going to be interesting. Will it be a victory for China? Will it be a victory for Korea? We're going to know in about 10 seconds.
Oh no.
Uh-oh.
Has time run out? Time has run out.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Can you believe it? This game is actually over. The Chinese have run out of time.
That is just, what can you say? Such an experienced skip as Bin Wang,
Unbelievable.
world champion, Olympic bronze medalist. That's not supposed to happen.
Unbelievable finish. They were so wrapped up in the shot selection that they were trying to make before that crucial last stone that they didn't notice that they ran out of time on the time clock. The game ends because China runs out of time, and Korea unbelievably wins this game. Wow.
That is some start to the Pacific Asia Curling Championships, Hans.
Incredible finish. Unbelievable finish to this match. Veteran Bin Wang devastated in the hack, trying to throw her final stone to win the game, only to have the official indicate that the time clock is expired and the game is over. Can you believe it? Wow. An amazing finish. They say you see something different every time you come onto the ice at a curling game. And that's something you don't see every day. A team running out of time in the extra end to lose the game. But it's a victory to Korea in unlikely circumstances. Wow. I'm speechless. It's an unbelievable finish to the game.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I've ever seen that before. Definitely not before the last stone of the extra end with a shot to win.
I've never seen it in an extra end. I've seen it in regulation, but I've never seen it in an extra end. Incredible.
Oh, well, that is end of draw 1 in the women's competition. We will have some highlights for you, and we'll see if we can get a word in with the winning skipper. Elsewhere, we had Japan beat Qatar. We saw Australia win against Kazakhstan, and New Zealand also was able to pick up a steal of 2 in the 10th inning against Hong Kong to win the game 8-7. Our game, of course, ran into the extra end, and that's the scoreline you see there. But with the time running out, China will lose the game, forfeit the game, and if I'm not too mistaken, I wouldn't actually have any points up on the score, and we'll just say a W for Korea and an L for China. Win and lose. Does not happen very often at this level, but it did. Some highlights for you between Korea and China in the women's first draw of the Pacific Asia Curling Championships. After a first blank end, it's Korea with last stone to try and tap this red up for 3. Very close attempt. After a look, and would only be the 2 for Korea, but a great start for Kim On-young and her squad. In the third, Bin Wang with a great chance to hit back with a score of 2. Just an open hit, really. Nose hit for the experienced skipper. No problems whatsoever. And after 3 ends of play, it's a tied game. Going to score 1 for Korea in the 4th, a blank in 5. We skip ahead to the 6th end. And it's Bin Wang with an outturn draw to score 2. Sweepers on it early, and some great brushing from the front end. They're able to bring it into the 1 foot. A score 2, and China's up by 1 after 6. In the 7th end, really looked like a blank end all the way through, but a big miss by Kim On-young, over curling the peel attempt and sticking around for a score of 1, losing control of the even ends. Tied at 4 after 7. And China would go hard for the deuce in the 8th. Only a good shot by Kim On-young was able to cut them down 2-2, but with a draw, China very much in the driving seat with 2 ends to play. And in the 9th end, Bin Wang making things difficult for the Korean skip, needing to navigate through the port with some soft weight, try and play the top up and roll the shooter into the forfeit for 2, but rubs on the top red, is not able to push the red stone far enough, and China actually will pick up a steal of 1, lead the game 7 shots to 4 before the 10th end, but after some questionable calls from the Chinese skip, we'll see Kim On-young with a chance to draw for 3, no problems there, pushing the game into an extra. And in the extra end, we did get some stones in play. And it was a double for Bin Wang to win the game. But sitting in the hack, getting a message from the umpire saying, your time is up. Clock runs out. Just an incredible end to an incredible game. Experienced skip Bin Wang and her team with a huge mistake of not realizing time had run out, and they would forfeit the game. Korea picks up the win.
After that victory.
제가 지금까지 본 경기 중에 가장 믿을 수 없는 결말이었는데요. 어떤 소감을 좀 말씀해 주시죠.
초반에 일단 저희가 좀 실수들이 많았고 특히 상대 스킵이 되게 정말 좋은 그 경기력을 보여줘서 저희가 되게 많이 힘들었는데 마지막 엔드에 3점을 따서 마지막까지 경기를 엑스트라까지 끌고 간 게 중요했던 것 같습니다.
We made mistakes in the beginning, and especially the skip of Chinese team is showed a very good performance. But we were lucky enough to get to the 3 points in the last end, and we think that was the driving force to win the game.
What did you say to your team before that 10th end when you know you needed 3 points? What did you say to your team in the 10th end?
10엔드에서 뭐라고 말씀하셨는지 다른 멤버들한테.
네, 일단 3점 따는 게 가장 중요하고 일단 가드를 계속 저희가 유지하고 가는 게 중요하다 그렇게 얘기했습니다.
I told them it's important to gain 3 points and keep the guard.
And finally, what's it like having a victory like this in your hometown, in your home country at a Pacific Asia Championship?
한국에서 그것도 그 고향에서 이런 우승을 그러니까 승리를 한 게 어떤 기분이신지.
아직 일단은 첫 게임이라서 잘 모르겠고요. 저희 홈 그 경기장에서 하는 만큼 좋은 성과 냈으면 좋겠다는 바람 일단 그게 있습니다.
So since it's my first match, so I can't really say anything, but we really wish to show a good performance in the home team.
Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Well, certainly lots of action here in the first draw of the women's. We'll be back in about 2 hours, 1900 hours Korean Standard Time for more curling action from the men's draw. Men's draw number 3, Japan, Australia. Join us again soon.